History is full of wars that were fought and battles that were never written. This is Unwritten Battles, where legends collide in wars that never were. Today we step into one such war history never allowed to happen. One side is an unbreakable wall of bronze and courage, forged in the crucible of history's most brutal training. They are masters of the close quarters kill, the very definition of discipline and sacrifice, the Spartan Phalanx. The other, a churning tide of horse and bow, an empire on the move that swallowed continents. They are masters of the open steppe and the arrow storm, architects of conquest on a scale the world had never seen, the Mongol Horde. These two legendary warriors, separated by over 1,000 years, never met. But what if they did? What happens when the immovable object of Spartan discipline meets the unstoppable force of Mongol mobility? What happens when a wall of shields, built to repel the world, is met not by a charge, but by a storm of arrows from every direction? This isn't just a clash of swords and spears. It's a clash of worlds, of philosophies, of the very meaning of war. You can't really understand the Spartan warrior without understanding the state that created him. Sparta wasn't a city, it was a military camp. Its entire purpose was to create the perfect soldier, and that process started at birth. A Spartan baby was inspected by the elders. If it was found weak, it was left to die. The ones who passed were destined for the Agoj, a state-sponsored training program that was less of a school and more of a forge for hardening human souls. From the age of 7, a Spartan boy belonged to the state. Family came second. Comfort was a weakness. He was deliberately underfed to encourage him to steal food, a lesson in stealth and cunning. If he was caught, he was beaten viciously, not for stealing, but for the sloppiness of getting caught. He was taught to endure pain without flinching, to obey any order without question, and to see death in battle not as a tragedy, but as the highest possible honor. That famous line from Spartan mothers to their sons, "Come back with your shield or on it," wasn't just drama. It was a literal expectation. Surrender was a fate worse than death. This lifelong conditioning created a warrior who feared disgrace far more than any enemy. This mindset was then wrapped in the panoply, a suit of armor that was brutally effective and brutally heavy. A bronze helmet protected the head, a bronze cuirass shielded the torso, and greaves covered the shins. But the heart of the Spartans' gear was the thickest byssus. This wasn't just a shield. It was a 3-foot wide, 30-pound portable wall made of wood and bronze. It was designed so its left side protected the user, while its right side covered the man next to him. This wasn't gear for an individual. It was a component in a machine. That machine was the phalanx. When Spartans locked their shields together, they created a nearly impenetrable wall of overlapping bronze. From behind this wall, they thrust it out with 8-foot spears called the Lacedoria. A charging phalanx was one of the most terrifying sights in the ancient world, a grinding, unstoppable mass of bronze and iron. For close-in work, if their spears broke, they carried a short sword called the vikimixiphost, a deadly tool for the ugly business of killing in a crush of bodies. The entire Spartan system was designed for one kind of fight, a head-on, grinding infantry battle. But that hyper-specialization, it was also their greatest weakness. The phalanx was slow, rigid, and incredibly vulnerable from the sides and the rear. The Spartans resisted change because for a long time they were simply unbeatable. They neglected other military arms, like cavalry or skilled archers, often leaving that work to less trained allies. This stubbornness would eventually be their downfall. But for centuries, the Spartan phalanx was the undisputed king of the battlefield. If the Spartan was a product of the state, the Mongol was a product of the steppe. His training started pretty much the second he could walk, when he was put on a horse. The Mongol warrior learned to ride and shoot before anything else. The vast, unforgiving plains of Central Asia were his classroom. He was a hunter, used to tracking prey for miles, surviving extreme weather, and living off the land. This nomadic life created a warrior who was tough, self-sufficient, and unbelievably mobile. The Mongol mentality was all about ruthless pragmatism. Forget the Spartans' honor-bound clash of shields. The Mongols' only goal was to win, completely and crushingly, by any means necessary. War wasn't a contest of courage, it was the ultimate test of strategy. Genghis Khan organized these warriors into units of 10,000, 1,000, and 10,000, instilling a discipline just as absolute as the Spartans, but far more flexible. Orders were sent using flags, horns, and messengers, allowing a commander to direct huge fluid armies across a chaotic battlefield like chess pieces. The key to it all was the warrior's trinity: the horse, the bow, and the saber. The Mongol horse wasn't a giant European war horse. It was a smaller, tougher pony that could survive almost anywhere. Each warrior brought 3 or 4 horses on a campaign, letting him switch mounts to cover insane distances and show up weeks before an enemy ever thought possible. Their main weapon was the Mongol composite bay. This thing was an engineering masterpiece of sinew, wood, and horn that stored immense energy. A precise shot was deadly, from 100 to 200 meters, but Mongol archers could fire in volleys up to 400 or even 500 meters, raining death on an enemy long before they could even think about fighting back. They carried different arrows for different jobs: light ones for harassing from a distance, and heavy, armor-piercing ones for closer work. For the final charge, they had lances and a curved saber, a vicious slashing weapon perfect for using on horseback. Their armor was usually light, offering good protection without giving up the mobility that made them so deadly. Mongol tactics were the exact opposite of the Spartan head-on assault. They were masters of maneuver. A typical army was about 60% light horse archers and 40% heavy lancers. They would have never charged a prepared infantry line. Instead, the light cavalry would swarm the enemy, riding in huge circles just out of reach while firing a constant withering storm of arrows, a tactic called the caracole. They would harass, probe, and wear down their foe, looking for gaps and sowing chaos. Their most famous tactic was the Tapan Mongolite, the feigned retreat. A Mongol force would attack, then pretend to break and run. Any undisciplined enemy who gave chase would find their own battle lines stretching and falling apart. And that was the trap. Once the enemy was lured out, the fleeing Mongols would suddenly turn back, as hidden reserves slammed into the enemy's exposed flanks, creating a total encirclement. The battle would then become a slaughter. It was this mix of mobility, firepower, and pure deception that let the Mongols conquer armies much larger and heavier than their own. For a fight this epic, the location is everything. In a narrow pass like Thermopylae, the Spartans would have a massive advantage, completely shutting down Mongol mobility. But the Mongols were masters of picking their battles and would never fight there. So our fight takes place on a wide open steppe, the Mongols' home turf, and a Spartan's worst nightmare. As for the armies, let's go beyond the famous 300. We'll imagine a force of 3,000 elite Spartians, supported by 2,000 allied skirmishers, helots, slingers, and javelin men to guard their vulnerable flanks. Facing them is a single Mongol Vestime, a division of 10,000 warriors led by a general from the school of the brilliant Subutai. This force is the classic 6,000 light horse archers and 4,000 heavy lancers. The numbers are against the Spartans, but that's nothing new for them. The sun beats down on the flat, endless grassland. On one side, a glittering block of bronze and crimson. The 3,000 Spartans form their phalanx, 250 men wide. To counter the enemy's numbers, they've adopted a deeper than standard formation, 12 ranks deep instead of the usual 8. Shields are locked, the first 3 rows of spears are lowered, and they become a hedge of death. They are a fortress of flesh and steel, waiting. On the horizon, a dark cloud appears. It's the Mongol foe of Tumut, but they don't form up for a glorious charge. Instead, the cloud dissolves, splitting into smaller swirling groups that fan out across the horizon. The battle begins not with a clash, but with a whistle. The first Mongol arrows arc high into the sky, but they don't fall on the phalanx. They fall on the Helot skirmishers guarding the flanks. The Spartan allies are hopelessly outranged. Arrows rain down on them, and within minutes their protective screen is shattered, dead, or running for their lives. The Spartan flanks are now completely exposed. Now the real battle begins. The Mongol horse archers approach, splitting into 2 great wings that circle the Spartan formation in the deadly caracole. They stay hundreds of meters away, a distance where the Spartans are helpless, and then the arrow storm is unleashed. Thousands of arrows blot out the sun. The sound is a deafening drumbeat of arrows striking bronze. The Spartans instinctively raise their shields, creating a shell of overlapping bronze over their heads. For a time, it holds. Arrows thud into the thick feature shields and clatter off helmets, but the sheer volume of fire is unimaginable. Arrows find every gap. They skip under shields to hit ankles, or plunge down to find the space between helmet and shoulder. For every 10 arrows that bounce off, 1 finds a home. A man screams and falls, his comrades stepping over his body to fill the gap, their discipline holding firm. But the pressure is immense. The Spartans can do nothing. They are a fortress under siege from an enemy that refuses to get close. Charging would be suicide. The phalanx is too slow, and trying to run would break the formation, making them easy prey. All they can do is stand there and take it, watching their brothers die from an enemy they can't touch. Their greatest strength, their discipline, now chains them in place. The wall of shields has become a prison. The phalanx is no longer a weapon. It's a tomb. Hours pass. The ground is a carpet of arrows. The phalanx has shrunk, the dead and wounded piled within their shrinking perimeter. Thirst burns their throats. Their arms ache with the agony of holding up the heavy shields. Their unbreakable will is being eroded, not by fear, but by pure futility. The Mongol general sees it. The formation is wavering. He gives a signal. Suddenly, a large group of horse archers breaks away and gallops off, looking like a disorganized retreat. It's the Phacum Mangurius, executed perfectly. To the Spartan king, exhausted and maddened with frustration, it looks like a miracle. A chance to finally hit back. Forward, he roars. It's a fatal mistake. The desire to finally close with the enemy is overwhelming. The phalanx lurches forward, but a formation built for a slow advance can't hold together at a run. Gaps open in the line. The perfect wall of shields comes apart. The trap is sprung. From behind a low rise, 4,000 fresh Mongol heavy lancers erupt onto the field. They don't charge the front. They slam directly into the exposed right flank of the charging phalanx. The impact is catastrophic. A phalanx is designed to take a charge from the front, but hit from the side, it shatters. Lances punch through bronze, horses slam into men, and the orderly ranks collapse into chaos. At the same time, the fleeing horse archers wheel around and charge back into the chaos, firing arrows at point-blank range before drawing their sabers. The fight dissolves into thousands of individual duels. An exhausted Spartan on foot is no match for a fresh Mongol lancer on a horse. The riders sweep through the scattered hoplites, their curved sabers flashing. The Spartan king and his last guards make a final, heroic stand. They fight back to back, a tiny island of defiance in a sea of enemies. But it's hopeless. One by one, they are cut down. So the winner? It's the Mongol Horde. And it's not even close. And the reason isn't about courage or strength. It was a victory of doctrine. The Spartans were masters of a specific kind of war, perfected for the battlefields of ancient Greece. Their entire system was built on the enemy, fighting them on their terms, a direct frontal assault. The Mongols simply refused to play that game. They represented a revolution in warfare, where mobility and ranged firepower made static, heavy infantry obsolete. The Spartan shield wall wasn't broken by a charge, but was made irrelevant. It was a solution to a problem the Mongols never presented. In the end, the phalanx didn't fail the Spartans. It became their cage, a prison of their own making, methodically taken apart by an enemy that wrote a whole new rulebook for war. But what if we changed the rules? What if this fight happened in the narrow hot gates of Thermopylae, where Mongol mobility would be useless? Could the phalanx have held forever? Let us know what you think in the comments.